5 rising in Hollywood. They are hoping to crown a champion. The LA Sparks with a 2-1 series edge on the Minnesota Lynx as we get ready for Game 4 of this best-of-5 2017 WNBA Finals. Ryan Rucco and the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo welcoming you back inside Staples Center. We know what's at stake tonight for the LA Sparks, trying to clinch the title. For the Minnesota Lynx, if they're going to make sure that doesn't happen and force a Game 5, what's something that's key for them or encouraging as they go into this contest?
Well, it was interesting talking to Simone Augustus earlier this morning, and she said, in none of the 3 games played thus far have we executed our game plan. I think they feel like if they play at the top of their game, offensive end, defensive end of the floor, that they can get a victory. And they've gotten one, and they've played the games close without playing their best basketball.
And they could use a little more production from Rebecca Brunson and Lindsay Whalen, who had an interesting conversation we caught wired moments ago.
What you want from me besides that drag? Anything else?
Hey, deflections. And keep talking to me.
Yeah.
Deflections on Parker.
Yep.
And keep talking to me on the weak side. If you ever see me stand on the weak side, tell me to keep active.
Yeah,
because,
me too.
Just remind me.
Me too. Me
yeah,
too.
We both. Okay.
We saw sometimes when we was there, we wasn't quite there. We were there a little bit more aggressive. We in good shape.
You know,
that's from the start.
You know what we need the most of? Fun.
Absolutely.
We just have fun, man.
Stay connected.
Well, Lindsay Whalen, Rebecca Brunson will look to have fun in the Minnesota Lynx starting lineup. Whalen and Augustus both held scoreless in Game 3. That's the starting backcourt. Joining Brunson in the front court, it's Maya Moore and Sylvia Fowles, all led by head coach Cheryl Reeve. For Brian Agler's Sparks, he's got big-time production out of his backcourt. Chelsea Gray and Odyssey Sims. Elena Beard, the Defensive Player of the Year. Nneka Ogwumike, last year's MVP. And Candace Parker, last season's Finals MVP. The Lynx 1-2 in potential road elimination games. The Sparks 3-3 all-time in finals closeout games. And Game 4 is underway.
Minnesota starting out in their man-to-man defense. They're going to be looking to set a tone defensively.
Ogwumike gets the roll, and just like Game 3, she starts with a bucket outside the paint. Just her second of the entire series.
You see Odyssey Sims picking up Lindsay Whalen hard, extending her defense. She was effective taking Whalen out of her rhythm, doing that in Game 3.
Augustus trying to get a roll herself, cannot. Fouls on the glass. Brunson help, and Fouls can't put it back as Parker secures for LA. Parker weaving, kicking. Gray on the move to the rim for 2.
That is when LA Sparks are at their best. Candace Parker getting the defensive board, leading the break, and then making the right decision.
Here's Fouls out of the double, finds Brunson on the cut, who is hit by Sims. And Rebecca Brunson will shoot 2 as we take a look back at what we were talking about in regard to Parker.
Candace Parker, one of the best facilitating forwards in the league. 6'4", and Chelsea Gray attacking the closeout to get the easy 2 in the paint. Gray, a very capable 3-point shooter, but not settling for the outside shot early.
Brunson, a more aggressive attack on this end in the first couple of possessions for Minnesota.
Not only the attack, but as soon as she saw Sylvia Fowles get doubled, she went into the lane instead of waiting and floating on the perimeter. That's important when the double team comes to the post.
Minnesota has been seeking more production out of Brunson and Whalen. They got it from Augustus in games 1 and 2, but not in game 3. Here is Beard. And Elena Beard stepped out of bounds as LA turns it over.
Maya Moore playing exaggerated help side defense when Elena Beard does not have the basketball. So she's going to have to look to be offensive-minded. Beard.
Fouls, 8 to shoot, gets hugged by Parker, and that is going to be a jump ball. Great double team from Ogwumike and Candace Parker.
But I like what Minnesota is doing early in this game. They are not settling. They are really looking to run their stuff through fouls. She wasn't ready for it.
No, she was not, and Parker tipped it easily to Sims, who was whacked by Whalen. And now Lindsay Whalen has some words afterwards, and she's being calmed down a bit by her teammates as Sims is down on the floor in pain.
Let's say this, Lindsay Whalen intended to foul. I don't think she intended harm. She wanted to wrap Sims up so that she wouldn't get an easy two.
Now they will take a look at this and see whether or not it should be upgraded to a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2. A flagrant 1 is contact that is deemed unnecessary. A flagrant 2 is unnecessary and excessive. And here's another look for you.
Odyssey Sims obviously went down and hit hard. And again, Ryan, I think clearly Lindsay Whalen was looking to foul so that Odyssey Sims could not finish. Still, I don't think she meant harm.
Is there anything unnecessary about that?
I do think it's a flagrant. Because it doesn't matter what your intentions are. I do think that's a flagrant.
Now, Odyssey avoids her head hitting directly on the hardwood, but took it hard on her left shoulder. It looked like, and maybe the back
and
as well.
And the tailbone area.
Yeah. Whalen was fired up afterwards. Looked like she was exchanging words with Chelsea Gray. A flagrant 1, as we talked about, if contact committed against the player with or without the ball is interpreted to be unnecessary. A flagrant 2, if contact committed against the player with or without the ball is interpreted to be unnecessary and excessive.
I don't think this constitutes a flagrant 2. I do think it constitutes a flagrant 1.
Our officials, Mai Forsberg, Billy Smith, and Kurt Walker. Tiffany Bird, our alternate. We will take one more look as they communicate to the table, and it will be a flagrant 1. A flagrant 1 is the call, so Rebecca, you are right. 1 for 1 in this game.
I just hope that Odyssey Sims can recover. She is so important too. And she's staying on the floor, so that's a great sign. But not only, you know, offensively, she's so good at pushing the pace, but she was so disruptive in Game 3 because of her defensive pressure on Lindsay Whalen. She is really important and vital to what LA does on both ends of the floor.
So in addition to seeing whether or not she stays in this game, it's also about, is her motor slowed at all?
Well, you know what? She has to stay in to take this free throw, because if she doesn't, she wouldn't be allowed to re-enter the game. That's the difference between a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2. The flagrant 1 is called, you have to take the free throw if you want to continue to play in the game.
Sims has been absolutely exquisite from the line over the last couple of months, and she hits both. Had a string of 37 straight made free throws snapped in Game 3. And so Whalen right back on Sims. LA with the early 6-2 lead.
And often a foul like that will really light the fire of the team that got fouled.
Whalen trying to save as her and Gray came together. It's out of bounds off Minnesota. Still plenty of time to operate for Los Angeles.
Was that the pitcher throwing the brush back? That, or the Gray with a little body on Lindsay Whalen?
It might have been the equivalent of that. Here's Parker. A big Game 3 on both ends of the floor as Sims can't connect. Long board to Moore, and here comes Minnesota. Augustus getting more touches early in this game and cashing in with a jumper after not scoring in Game 3, the first time in her career that it happened in the postseason.
Both teams play such good defense. They're going to have to make plays and score and make tough shots, and that was one of them.
Great look from Parker. Gray can't hit. Whalen the rebound. And here comes Moore. Hastily up the floor. Fouls, a deep touch. Out of the double finds Brunson, who is smushed and fouled. And Rebecca Brunson, for the second time already this game, cut hard immediately and is rewarded with free throws.
That's what you do. As soon as your defender turns her head to go double team, especially if you're coming from the free throw line area, you cut to the lane. Brunson knows that. Sylvia Fowles knows that. That's kind of her first read as the quarterback when she gets double teamed.
Elena Beard called for that foul, her first. Brunson misses the first day. The WNBA Finals 2017 presented by Verizon continues Wednesday night. If Minnesota wins tonight, we will head back to Minneapolis for the final deciding game. That's Game 5 Wednesday night, 8 Eastern on ESPN if necessary. And for more on these games, go to WNBA.com or access the WNBA app.
Take that slate out of the ice water because it keeps shrinking, Ryan.
Sylvia Fowles is whistled for the loose ball foul, as Rebecca makes Seinfeld fans proud everywhere. Sims trying to find some room. Kicks to Beard. She connects. A long two for Elena Beard. As Fowles and Parker got tangled on the deck.
Gotta see Sims distorting the defense with her drive. She drew 3 defenders.
Good cut from Moore. Fading away. Banks it in.
It is important for Maya Moore to see the basketball go through the hoop early. She did not get that opportunity in Game 3.
Great movement here. Parker. No. And Augustus the rebound.
I like when you turn no into a 3-syllable word.
I'm glad you've been counting my syllables after all these years. As Fowles lays it in on a nice delivery from Moore, and there's just a palpable energy and activity to the start of this game.
We have a close first quarter. This is the first time this series we've had a close first quarter midway through.
LA in Game 2, and it was LA's defense that swallowed up the Lynx in Game 3 as Sims is too strong on the floater. And here comes Augustus with LA back. Augustus trying to work Gray. Whalen will lob. Fowles. Turns. Denied by Parker. 3-on-2. Gray, the no look. Sims back to her. A 3. It's way off the mark. And now Maya Moore is trapped and has it stolen. Up ahead to Agumake, who lays it in.
Right now, these teams are a little bit winded, a little bit tired. As soon as Maya Moore had the ball stolen, she didn't even run back, Ryan.
And you can see Cheryl Reeve telling her team, calm it down, slow things down a bit. More on the cut. The jumper is off.
And when you're tired, you have to be a little bit more deliberate to get better shots.
Meanwhile, Parker nearly threw it away. Sims back to her. Parker at 3. Rattles out. LA has missed its first 4 from downtown, and all of them good looks. Minnesota trying to force a winner-take-all Game 5 Wednesday night. LA looking to finish off this series at home. Brunson. No. And Agumake the rebound. Beard is down in the backcourt. Foul slow to get to the front court herself. And that's knocked out of bounds, and everybody might be happy about that because it will bring us to a full timeout. Good action early and a tight game. Nneka Agumake out and running. Brian Agler always says we're at our best when our bigs are on the move. Agumake is, and LA leads by 2.
The WNBA Finals 2017 is presented by Verizon, the best network and the best unlimited, and Taco Bell and the $5 steak quesarito box.
They are so clearly led by Candace Parker. And what a turnaround when you consider where she was before the finals victory last season, Holly Rowe.
Well, last year might have been one of the most difficult years personally in Candace's life. She lost her beloved coach, Pat Summitt, who died during the course of the season. She was going through a divorce. She was not chosen for the U.S. Olympic team. A lot was going wrong in her life. And she said, I got to that Game 4, and for the first time, I felt cloudy about what her job was to close out that title. But this year, she is unfazed. She is unburdened. And a beautiful piece written by Ramona Shelburne is worth checking out on ESPNW. But she's in a much better place this season, Ryan.
And the results have shown. I don't know that I've ever seen her as comfortable in her own skin as she has seemed throughout this entire year, Rebecca.
And she's been a great leader all season for this LA team.
Brunson is stripped by Parker. It goes back to Brunson, who puts it in on the foul.
Rebecca Brunson has had great off-the-ball activity so far in this first half, and here's another example of it. This time, it's not the ball going into the post, but she gets to the middle of the floor, finishes, even though LA continuing to have active hands. We saw it. Rebecca Brunson did not play particularly well in games 1 or 3, but she came out balling in game 2, and she's done it again here today.
4 points for Brunson, who missed her last 2 free throws, but hits that. So 5 for Brunson, who in game 3 really struggled. Scored just 6 total points in that game and had just 2 rebounds, which is highly irregular. She has more rebounds than any player in WNBA Finals history.
When Gia Perkins comes in the game, you see her with the steal there. She tries to be disruptive defensively.
Fouls, will kick it out, and Gray got a hand up.
But Chelsea Gray has the size on Gia Perkins. In that last possession, while LA turned it over, they were trying to get Gray the ball. They feel like that's an advantage on that end of the floor.
Minnesota with its first lead. Remarkably, even though the first 3 games, you see Lavender and Sims check out, were played so tightly, there were only 2 ties and 6 lead changes throughout the entire first 3 games. Teams trying to dig out of holes in those contests. Perkins can't hit. Fouls on the offensive glass. Got fouled. And I believe that's going to be on Chelsea Gray, who is trying to fight off the size. And it is. And that'll be the 4th team foul on LA with 3:12 to go in this quarter.
This is what happens when you're a smaller guard. The bottom right of your screen, trying to box out Sylvia Fowles. You cannot take away someone's feet in their space going up for the board.
So side out of bounds as it's Augustus fouls. Renee Montgomery, who played a big role in game 3. Rebecca Brunson and Gia Perkins, the 5 for Minnesota. Parker, Beard, Ugumake, Carson, and Gray, the 5 for Los Angeles.
Montgomery is the more offensive-minded point guard than Lindsay Whalen.
Augustus connects on a 3 and is fired up afterwards. Minnesota in front by 4. Parker trying to force it. Brunson would have none of it. Augustus leading the break. And Beard saw it the whole way. Got her hands in there. Parker with Minnesota back. Has it taken away from her. And now Montgomery blasting forward. 2-on-1. Fouls. Finishes. It's an 8-0 Minnesota run. And LA will take a timeout. The Minnesota Lynx bringing the energy and activity as they face elimination. A 6-point first quarter lead. Run in his first quarter. These finals have unfolded very similarly to the way last year's did. A win on the road for LA, Minnesota then evening things up, then LA winning at home in game 3. But even though the contests have been tight through the first 3 games, there have not been nearly as many ties and lead changes as we experienced the first 3 games of 2016. So far tonight, 2 ties and 1 lead change.
One thing there hasn't been nearly as many of in this first quarter is fouls. And this is the first quarter we've had where a player doesn't have 2 fouls, a player not in foul trouble.
Ugumake heaved up a 3 early in the shot clock and couldn't hit.
I don't think that's exactly the shot she wants. She's been effective in the paint in this series, but not been effective from outside, especially deep.
LA comes over the steal, 4 turnovers apiece in this first as Beard can't hit.
Again, that's too early in the shot clock. That's not Alina Beard's game.
And you can see Brian Agler looking at his team like, what are we doing? Montgomery splashes in a tray, and it's a 9-point Minnesota edge.
And the difference there is that Minnesota is the team that has the momentum right now, and that is part of Renee Montgomery's game, early threes.
An 11-0 Minnesota run. Carson. Now it's settles with Sims, just 6 to shoot. Parker, great look, and Agumike is fouled.
Renee Montgomery from the bench assesses what her team needs from her, and she told us, if I think we need some offense, I'm going to look for my own. And here, she just has a...
Is also available on ESPN2 in Spanish.
We didn't get any chance to watch football today. We're going to have a chance to watch football tomorrow night.
That's right. And if Minnesota wins this game, a Game 5 Wednesday night on ESPN. Here's Brunson. He's had an effective first quarter. Fouls will take. And it's hit. And a much more fluid rhythm offensively in this Game 4 for Minnesota.
And all Candace Parker could do is smile and go the other way, because that's the shot that she wants Sylvia Fowles to take.
Minnesota 8 for their first 15, shooting it at 53%. They were held to single-digit scoring in the first quarter of Game 3 as Agumike finds Parker for 2.
And offensively, we keep hearing Brian Agler say, move the ball, because that's when LA is so good offensively. They have great spacing, good cutting, but in order to make it all work, they need to move the ball.
First field goal for Parker. 30 seconds left in the quarter. Moore. Over to Fowles, guarded by Parker. 4 to shoot. Parker's active hands. Snatched it away. Shot clock turned off so LA can hold for 1. Gray doesn't look like she wants to, and Agumike traveled, and LA was just rushed in their set there. I understand transition, but with 13 seconds and no obvious lane to the rim, you probably got to pull that back.
Yes, rushed, but the right idea for Agumike in terms of she didn't just look to settle for the shot. Her mindset has to be to attack the basket. But yes, it was early in the clock.
The shot clock was turned off, and LA seemed like they wanted to take advantage of that sort of second wave transition opportunity. 5 turnovers apiece between Minnesota and LA in this first. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Montgomery lost it. It's in her legs. And a jump ball as Nneka Agumike is saying, hey, what is that? It should be a kick.
I don't know if that's in the rule book, because you're not allowed to, stand up with the basketball, but are you allowed to cradle it in between your legs? I mean, here, great job. Active hands again. Sims and Agumike, and then Renee Montgomery just grabs it between her knees and rolls back, trying to keep possession.
Now, Sims and Montgomery are going to jump. Sims is 5'8". Montgomery is 5'7". And that is into the arms of Gray. Gorgeous down-court feed. Beard lays it in. They will review whether or not that was off in time from Elena Beard. But you could not have executed that better than Chelsea Gray did.
Beard took off right away, assuming they were going to win the tip, and oh, she did. She got it off. That's 2 for LA.
She clearly got it off in time. Score the bucket for LA. They're down 5 after 1 here at Staples. Months ago, Holly Rowe caught up with Lynx head coach Cheryl Reed.
Well, Coach Reed, you said that in Game 3, that loss, you didn't take advantage of some of the things LA gave you. What have you taken advantage of better today?
What have we taken better? A little more aggressive, taking care. I mean, they're still getting a ton of deflections. We got to do better in that area. That's the single biggest thing we have to get done today.
Sylvia Fowles has told me when she gets that wrinkle above her eyebrow, that's not a good sign. You just had a little conversation with her. What were you trying to calm down with her?
Don't wrinkle her eyebrow.
I like this version of Cheryl Reed. The one who has a little sense of humor during the interview.
A little more loquacious.
A little bit.
Foul on Gray to start the quarter as Howard flipped it up wildly. Brunson back to it, and Rebecca Brunson is making her presence felt.
In a smaller post lineup. This is not their small lineup, but with Sylvia Fowles out of the game, Brunson and Howard in there together. 2 quick athletic post players.
And a foul against one of them, Howard, who picks up fouls at a remarkable rate.
Rebecca Brunson and her activity offensively. I mean, this is a player coming in to this game in the finals, averaging under 3 rebounds a game. She's been much more active in that part of the game today.
Sims, the kick. 7 to shoot. Back into the arms of Sims. Brian Sparkle, you can hear saying, keep it moving, as Agumake trying to put it home and could not. He was very disappointed with the way the ball settled on the left side of the floor. Whalen behind the back. Brunson into the jumper. No. Rebound loose on the floor, and Howard fights for it.
All season long, the first post player off the bench for the Minnesota Lynx was Plannette Pearson, but Howard is good in this matchup because of her quickness.
Now, Odyssey Sims, you could see once again, this time obviously not as far out, but harassing Lindsay Whalen. And one of the things Cheryl Reeve talked to us about was, hey, you have to take advantage of that aggression. If Odyssey Sims is going to go after you, then you need to try and go by her.
Exactly. You take advantage of it by trying to get by her. Attacking the closeout was another thing that she talked about.
Shot clock at 4. Moore floats it home. Second field goal for Maya Moore. Her Lynx have their largest lead. It's 9. Parker will get ready to check back in for LA. Lavender. It's good.
Post player rolling to the basket, getting paint points, has been very good to LA at times in this series, particularly in Game 3.
Lavender 8 points off the bench in Game 3. As Whalen looked like she got away with a travel. That's out of bounds off of LA, and it will stay with Minnesota.
Got away with the travel. Looked like when those cartoon characters go off the cliff and their feet just keep going one over the other.
Her Instagram alter ego Gentry might have taken over for a moment.
If you don't follow Lindsay Whalen on Instagram, you need to.
Candace Parker back into the game for LA. Whalen will give it up. 8 to shoot. Back into the arms of Moore. Trying to get around Agumake. Moore can't hit. Parker fighting another offensive rebound for Minnesota, and a foul. And the Lynx have been dominating the offensive glass in this second quarter thus far.
As active as LA was in Game 2, Game 3, Minnesota is that active here in Game 4, particularly on the offensive glass.
And that was a significant foul because that is number 3 on Chelsea Gray. Now, when you look at the role play, not role play, but the key starters, in addition to Moore and fouls for Minnesota, much different contributions so far tonight than what they got in Game 3.
And even for Whalen, who doesn't have points but has done a better job of getting her team into their offensive sets.
And another offensive glass effort from Minnesota. And they'll take their chances on this jump ball. Chelsea Gray against Sylvia Fowles. Gray staying out there with 3 personals.
It's not a finals game until an LA player is in foul trouble in the second quarter, right?
And Brian Agler has consistently shown throughout this entire year, and especially this series, he trusts his players to stay on the floor in foul trouble.
Yeah, he's not one who, once you pick up 2 or 3, is going to put you on the bench. See, but jump balls is not just about who can get the tip, it's about the activity around the perimeter. Great job by Lindsay Whalen there, kind of boxing out Sims so she could regain possession.
Here's Moore, curling, waiting, taking, hitting. Largest lead of the evening for Minnesota. Facing elimination, they're up 10. Sims the pirouette, got wedged. Will give it up, and a whistle against LA. Nneka Agumake will be called for the foul. 3rd team foul of the quarter against LA, and the first on Nneka.
And you're going to see Lindsay Whalen here. Maya Moore coming off a beautiful Brunson screen. Going to post up, get the ball back. I mean, how many screens are you going to run a lane at Beard off? For Maya, it's as many as it takes.
Another offensive rebound for Minnesota. Whalen finds Brunson in for 2. And the Minnesota Lynx in absolute rhythm. Here in Game 4, a 9-2 run, a 12-point lead, and a timeout for LA. Tire.
Welcome back to Los Angeles, where Minnesota leads LA by 12. And how about Rebecca Brunson and her activity on the offensive end of the floor, getting to the offensive glass? This is a player who in Game 3 spent some time on the bench. Well, here, she has made her presence felt early. And what did Cheryl Reeve tell us before Game 3? We are at our best when Rebecca Brunson is doing Rebecca Brunson-like things, and we've seen that so far here in Game 4.
And she is a large reason why Minnesota has a 12-0 advantage in second chance points. LA has a 12-point hole to try and climb out of. Gray looking to create. Shot clock at 5. Beard off. Rebound loose. Parker gets to her feet and gets fouled.
How about Candace Parker going from the supine position to be able to get up and still get that O board back? She's had a bit of a quiet start to this game, and Brunson boxing out. Parker down. Parker not down for long. Gets the foul on Rebecca Brunson.
Parker had such a complete Game 3. He was excellent defensively and had 13 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 3 blocks. They shop WNBAstore.com now for the best selection of Lynx and Sparks gear. Choose from jerseys, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. WNBAstore.com, one store every team.
Holly Rowe bobblehead still not on sale, though. It's full price right now.
We're really going to force the WNBA Store Commission into producing the Holly Rowe bobblehead. As Sims forces the steal, but stepped out of bounds. The whistle came late, and the crowd was fired up.
But Elena Beard looking at her and giving her 5 and saying, you know what, that's what we need you to do. Be disruptive. And Odyssey Sims is such a good on-ball defender. Strong, quick, stays in her stance.
Kurt Walker was right there as Sims stepped out of bounds to make the call. Minnesota 17-6 edge on the glass in this game. As Fouls goes to the hook, is short, good D from Candace Parker. Beard. Sims the pocket pass as Beard took a shot and hit the deck.
Much better offense, though, for Los Angeles. Switching sides of the floor and then ending it by getting the on-ball screen and roll. Again, that's a really effective way for them to try to get points in the paint.
You talked about it before the start of the game, Rebecca, but Elena Beard was talking to us about the difference last year and this year in this Game 4 situation being up 2-1, and she said, you know, last year we could say take it one game at a time. We could say take it one possession at a time, but we didn't really know what that meant yet. And now we do. And Brian Hagler told his team last year in this situation, we tried to win the championship instead of trying to win the basketball game. We said, look, I can't tell you for sure what's going to happen in this game, but let's also be clear. We could go out there, play well, have the fouls, dishes. Alexis Jones, the rookie, who's a factor in Game 3 in. Sylvia Fowles looked like she might have gotten away with a double dribble.
Absolutely.
Looked like she put 2 hands on the basketball and double dribbled, but got away with it. 8 points, 4 rebounds for Fowles as Agumake, another early look outside the paint. Can't connect. Minnesota dictating tempo. Jones puts it home. A 3 for the rookie. And Minnesota swinging a ferocious right hook. A 14-3 run and a 16-point lead. Gray tied up and a foul against Minnesota. It'll be a block.
How about Alexis Jones? She did not play a minute in Game 1. She did not play a minute in Game 2. The rookie came in Game 3, 17 minutes, 9 points, gets a chance here in the second possession down the floor, draining it.
Let's check in with Holly.
Well, guys, I have noticed a remarkable difference in this Minnesota Lynx team. When they started out, they were a little passive. They were down 6-2, and then Lindsay Whalen had that hard foul on Odyssey Sims. Well, the tone of this team changed. They got a toughness. Their run has been 33-15 since that hard foul. It was a flagrant, but I think it was an important foul to get this Minnesota team fighting and back to their tough spirit. They said they can't win this game unless they're us. Well, that is us basketball for the Minnesota Lynx. Tough.
Holly, what's interesting is usually it's the team that absorbs the flagrant that then goes on the run and regroups. And you're right, in this case, it was the team that dished it out, and Minnesota showing their toughness.
Inside of 5 minutes left in this first half. Moore trying to get around Agumake, got the whistle. And that'll be the second personal on Nneka as Maya Moore will shoot a pair. Well, if this score holds, and it won't because it's basketball and a lot more points will be scored, but if the differential holds, the WNBA Finals 2017 presented by Verizon would continue Wednesday night, a deciding Game 5. LA at Minnesota, 8 Eastern on ESPN. For more on these games, go to WNBA.com or access the WNBA app.
I absolutely love watching these two teams play. We should make it a 7-game series if these two teams are in the finals next year.
Now, Parker and Moore just got locked up, and that's going to put Minnesota over the limit. That will send Candace Parker to the line. And that'll be number 2 on Maya Moore, who was in foul trouble in Game 3.
Number 3, Candace Parker.
One of the more remarkable stats in Maya Moore's decorated career is she has never gone 2 consecutive years since high school without winning a title. She won 3 championships in high school. She then won her sophomore and junior year at UConn, and then won her first, third, and fifth years with Minnesota. Did not win last year with the Lynx as they lost that riveting Game 5 to LA. So this is actually on the line. Not that it's on top of mind for Maya Moore, but it's on the line here in this series.
And I think that Maya Moore will have a big say in not only this Game 4, but in the series if it goes to Game 5. She's one of the players who is capable, no matter how good the defense is on her, of still scoring and scoring a lot.
Parker now with 5. No LA player with more than 6. That's Agumake. Brunson has 9 fouls and more, each with 8 for Minnesota. Augustus doesn't get the roll, and Agumake with a ferocious snatch of the rebound. Gray in transition. Beard trying to save and does. Beard to the hoop. No. Rebound fouls.
This is the small lineup that we've seen with Maya Moore at the 4. So last time down the floor, when fouls got it inside, everyone spot up on the perimeter instead of somebody cutting to the basket.
Fouls, baseline jumper, no, and Agumake saves the rebound.
So you don't have the offensive rebounds because Brunson is not attacking, keeping the ball alive inside.
Parker draws 2, Agumake can't hit. And it feels like LA, even when they've gotten stops, they have taken early in the shot clock long too.
They're trying to get it all back in that one possession.
They've missed their last 6 shots, and Cheryl Reed will take a timeout. We'll step aside. The Minnesota Lynx locking down a high-powered LA. Gone to their small lineup here, which means different responsibilities for Maya Moore.
Well, you take a look first. Nneka Agumake is defending Simone Augustus, and when she goes to help on Sylvia Fowles, that's where Rebecca Brunson had so much success when she would go to the basket. But when you have 4 guards in there, their instinct is to stay on the perimeter and look for the 3-point shot. You don't get the cutter going inside, so it's different read for Sylvia Fowles when she gets that double team coming.
And Minnesota back to their bigger lineup with Brunson in at the 4, Fowles at the 5 as Brunson lost it. Agumake stole it and got rid of it quickly. Sims dashing through the lane. Sims will take and take. And a big one for LA, who had missed their first 8 threes.
And now LA trying to pick up the pace, picking up in full court. They want this game to be played at a fast pace, want to take the rhythm offensive team Minnesota out of their rhythm.
First field goal of the game for Sims. Gray fell. Jones bounces to Fowles. 5 to shoot. Brunson will. Way short. Fouls the offensive rebound. Couldn't finish. And here comes Parker. a timeout for LA, and Cheryl Reed will take a timeout. Minnesota Lynx with a 9-point lead on the LA Sparks, but it was 16 moments ago, and LA on a 7-0 run since.
They've done a great job defensively, getting stops, and then quickly going the other way in transition scores.
Cheryl Reed took a quick timeout, didn't want to see this run continue for LA. Here's Whalen. Whalen on the drive, lost her footing, nearly traveled. Brunson is fouled by Parker.
Well, Ryan, we saw this a lot in game 3 on this floor as well. Just players looking like they lost their footing and slipping and falling down.
Let's check in with Holly.
Well, because the LA Kings season has started their preseason, there is ice under this floor. We've had some condensation problems. I saw Cruz early in here today really wiping it up, but they do get a little thin layer of condensation from the ice that's sitting under this basketball floor. It's an ongoing problem when they're multi-use facility with hockey and basketball.
And we can confirm that it was frigid in here earlier today during shoot-around.
They had people working on the floor, just wiping up the wet spots during the shoot-around.
Brunson, the first player in double figures. She has 11.
Go get it! Go get it! Come on, hear me!
Candace goes back door. Parker denied by fouls. An emphatic rejection. Whalen the other way to Brunson, who lost it, regains it, and is fouled by Agumake. LA over the limit.
Sylvia Fowles, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, and gets up there in a beautiful block. Candace Parker had a great backdoor cut. This is team defense right here, trusting one another that if your player goes backdoor, somebody's going to be there to help. Sylvia Fowles helping Brunson out on that play.
And then the third foul on Agumake on the other end, so 3 on Agumake and 3 on Gray. Hey, coming up on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm, Holly Rowe will have a look at leadership from the bench and we'll have the best sounds of a dramatic Game 3. Well, that is worth highlighting just how well coached these teams are. Brian Agler and Cheryl Reed, not only 2 of the best coaches in this league, they are 2 of the best coaches in the history of this league. And the numbers back it up. Sims can't connect. Agumake cleans it up. Cheryl Reed has the best winning percentage of all time and the most postseason wins. Brian Agler's second most wins in WNBA history. Only Mike Tebow with more. Five to shoot. 3 to shoot. 1 to shoot. Brunson, no, and a foul here against Parker.
That time, Sylvia Fowles did a great job when the shot went up, of getting the inside position, spinning. Yeah, Sylvia Fowles has position. Parker gets locked up on her just a little bit. Yeah, she swung over the top.
Second foul on Parker. Fowles has been a force inside, 8 rebounds as she misses the free throw. Now, her and Brunson have really dictated the interior during this first half. How do you explain, Rebecca, the way that Rebecca Brunson's series has vacillated from incredibly effective to not? As Fowles misses both, but Brunson comes up with a rebound.
Often it's just predicated on how active she is at both ends.
And here Fowles active again, nearly got another rebound. Inside of the final minute of this first half. Great position from Agumake.
That should be a delay of game, and that's what the Minnesota team is looking for right there. But outstanding low position by Agumake. Had the advantage in terms of her size, made sure she wasn't going to lose position.
Necker with 10 points, 7 rebounds. Parker and Fowles jockeying, double Kane. Whalen will fire. And hit. 2-for-1 opportunity for LA if they hurry. 14-second difference game in shot clock. And it doesn't look like they are going to. So they'll look for one good one with 10 to shoot. Beard trying to drive, couldn't finish. Rebound, back to LA. 3-second difference game in shot clock. Sims got smushed, finds Parker, no. Rebound Minnesota, 5 to operate. Now 3. Augustus with 1, gets it off. And that will do it for the first half. The Minnesota Lynx fighting for their playoff lives with a 12-point lead after 2 quarters of play. Candace Parker vocalizing her issues with the first half officiating. And Simone Augustus and Rebecca Brunson. A much different output in this first half compared to game 3. Whalen distributing, and Rebecca Brunson is with Holly.
Well, I believe with all my heart, Rebecca, that you are the key to this team. When you're active, you guys win. How have you been able to be more active in this first half?
I just knew that, this is an important game. You have to leave everything you have out there. So I'm trying to, like you said, just lead my team, give them my energy, and hopefully they can just feed off of that.
With that activity, though, has come scoring. You've got 13 points in the first quarter. How do you feel about that?
Just moving around, too. I think that's what we always need to do. Just move for each other and be available.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Than they've had in any game total thus far in this series. Sparks looking to repeat as champions. Minnesota looking to force yet another game 5 in this rematch. Foul set a big screen on Sims. Whalen tosses 2 fouls. Who finishes?
That's a message screen. That's a screen where Sylvia fouls, and I'm not going to leave my point guard on an island with a defender all up in her. That's good teamwork right there.
Agumake's pass is denied and was a bit ambitious on the delivery. Here's Moore. Accelerating, shoveling, fouls will finish, and Minnesota starts the second half much the way they controlled the first. Fouls now with 12 points to go with 8 rebounds. Gray gives it up. Agumake puts it in. The one thing Lindsay Whalen talked to us about today, Rebecca, was how disappointed she was in herself the last 48 hours. Not even about not scoring in game 3, but saying just not making plays, not doing anything. I need to play basketball the way I know how and get us into our sets, even if we're not scoring. And it's felt like pretty much from that flagrant foul on that she committed, she has had her team running their offense.
And I think it was also, when you go back to that flagrant foul, kind of sending a message of, to LA, you took us out of our game. You were the aggressor. You were the more physical team in game 3. I'm not going to stand for that here in game 4.
Trying to force it inside, and Parker knocked it out. 10 to shoot for the Lynx as we check in with Holly.
Well, you talk about the mindset of Lindsay Whalen, and she really is the heartbeat of this team as far as being a point guard out there and being the quarterback of this team. She loves football, and every game before the game, she and Cheryl Reeve meet at center court and have this little powwow. They get on the same page emotionally, mentally, and every single game for the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen them congregate at the floor and really get on the same page so that she can lead her team in the appropriate way. It's just a little, meeting. The point guard, the quarterback, the coach.
Cheryl Reeve would probably call it a meeting of the minds.
Yes.
And Lindsay Whalen, her job isn't necessarily to score. It is to be the general and run the team. When Renee Montgomery comes off the bench as the backup point guard, she's more the one looking for her own offense. Lindsay, it's her job, Whalen, it's her job to get her team and her teammates in positions where they can succeed.
LA wins the jump ball. Here's Parker inside through traffic. I don't know how she saw Agumake, but did. Necker could not finish. Augustus, the drive, can't finish. Rebound. Brunson active, still fighting. It's loose. LA has it. Beard, and that's a foul on Whalen. And a sloppy sequence back and forth for both teams. Second foul on Lindsay Whalen. What hasn't LA been able to do in this game that they usually can on the offensive end?
turn teams over, turn Minnesota over defensively and get out in their running game. They've done it a couple times and it's been effective, but they haven't been able to get those easy looks that we've seen throughout the course of the playoffs.
Augustus fouls Agumake, and that'll be the second team foul against Minnesota in this third quarter.
Come on. Come on.
First foul on Simone Augustus, who had 6 rebounds, 5 points in that first half. Parker gives it up, gets it back, touch pass, 3 to shoot. Agumake is going to have to, floats it up and off as Moore comes up with a rebound. A good defensive stand for Minnesota. Whalen looked off fouls, finds Brookson on the jumper.
Lindsey Whalen, the floor general. Just a quick look away and made the right pass.
Backdoor, Gray cuts free, and Agumake delivered it. LA shooting just 37% this game. Minnesota at 46. Sims went for the steal. Whalen drew the extra defender in Parker, who gets back to Brunson. 5 to shoot. Beard came, fouls, can't finish. And into the arms of Sims. LA looking to run. Sims nearly tossed it away and did.
Great defense by Lindsey Whalen, knowing Sims is predominantly left-handed, wanted to go that way. She completely took it away, forced Sims to go right, and then it ended up in a turnover.
9 of them for LA. Minnesota has turned it over 9 times as well. Lynx a plus 12 on the glass. A plus 9 in second chance points. After an early sparse lead, it's been mostly Minnesota since midway through the first. Whalen, great look, and fouls is ripped out by Chelsea Gray, her 4th.
Am I hammering you?
The last 2 possessions, Minnesota's done a really good job of using Odyssey Sims' aggressiveness against her. That time, Lindsey Whalen snaked the screen, forced the switch, then you get the ball to Sylvia fouls. She had much better patience, Ryan, when Sims has come out and really gotten in her space on the offensive end.
We talked to Cheryl Reeve before the game, and she was very confident in the mentality and the approach. And we noticed Minnesota was particularly loose at shoot-around today and said, does that mean anything? Do you feel any certain way about where your team's at emotionally for this game? And she said, I really like where they're at. I feel good about where they're at.
Simone Augustus told us before the team looks to me on the bus. They're looking at me to see my mood, and I'm going to make sure to keep us loose today.
16-point lead, matching the largest for Minnesota as Gray dished it away, but Agumake was being held up by fouls, so a personal against Sylvia. Number 2 on Sylvia fouls. It was 14 points, 8 rebounds. Gray nearly lost the handle, finds Beard. She puts it in. Right side of the floor, Elena Beard much more effective with her jump shot. Williams trying to defend Whalen. That's an offensive foul.
And Whalen looks over and Sylvia fouls and kind of says patience. This is partly Lindsey Whalen to blame. You've got to wait for your big to get completely set. She went early, fouls, was leaning. So Sylvia fouls, picks up the foul, but Lindsey Whalen's got to wait one more beat so she's set.
The crossover denied by fouls. Statue of Liberty got out of there. And now on the other end, she gives a shoulder inside. No call. It would have been number 4 on Sylvia. Instead, it's just a stand from LA. Parker and Sims on the bench for the Sparks. Gray dished it off of Agumake out of bounds. As LA turns it over, their 10th of the game.
Teams talk about team defense and being able to help one another. Sylvia Fowles is here, but her eyes are looking there, knowing that if one of her teammates gets beat, she's got to be there to help. Oh yeah, Maya Moore, say thank you to Sylvia Fowles, because Maya Moore gets beat, boom. Fowles saves the possession.
A multi-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's had a couple of highlight blocks so far tonight, with Minnesota facing elimination. Augustus finds Brunson, can't lay it in. Fowles bats it alive amongst 3 yellow jerseys. And now Brunson is fouled, and that just looked like Rebecca Brunson lost the handle going up. But the aggressiveness rewards her the whistle. Something Simone Augustus talked to us about today, saying, we're not forcing the officials to make fouls. Well, today, Minnesota is, and they are being rewarded.
We got to come up with that. We got to come up with that. They can't get second and third shots. We got to come up with that. All right, that's what's in here for Elena.
Well, Brian Agler obviously not happy with the effort on the defensive glass tonight from his squad. Minnesota overall is a plus 13 in the rebounding department. They have 9 offensive rebounds.
And, you know, Brian Agler talked about it with us this morning. The players did too. And when teams know each other this well, it becomes intangibles. Activity, deflections on the defensive end, keeping the ball alive on the offensive end so a teammate can get the rebound.
And Rebecca Brunson has been in the middle of all that. She has 16 points now, 6 rebounds. She had 20 points total through games 1 and 3.
This has been effective for Los Angeles at time in the series. That Candace Parker bring the ball down the floor, take some pressure off your guards.
A long 2 early from Carson, who can't hit. And LA just has not been able to find anything offensively. Here's Moore. She has not had to handle the scoring load, just 8 points. Augustus finds a rolling foul. That was a nice catch. Maybe got away with a travel. 5 to shoot. Augustus is going to get called for an offensive foul. Raquana Williams sold the fend-off from Simone Augustus.
Sold the fend-off. Simone Augustus, a player who's so good at creating her mid-range jumper. She comes in here, a little bit of a push, but yeah, Raquana Williams sold it big time.
Maybe a little up high as well. Natasha Howard will check in for Minnesota. Out there with more fouls, Augustus and Montgomery. Here's Sims. She will take and hit. And LA has been freezing cold from deep. 1 of 12 as Carson comes up with a block on Howard. And had a little something to say afterwards.
Natasha Howard comes away laughing. She ran the floor hard. Renee Montgomery delivered, and here comes Essence Carson. Anytime a guard blocks the big, they're feeling pretty good about it.
Can LA use it as any kind of springboard to get them going? Maybe. 5-second violation.
Well, you know LA's defense, or energy on the defensive end, is what can fuel them on the offensive end. We've seen it throughout the course of the playoffs.
Williams the drive, wanted the whistle, couldn't finish. Gets it back though as Montgomery tried to go behind her back. And Williams misses the open mid-range. The hot potato finally settles with Augustus. Simone's long 2 is good.
How do you think she's feeling about her scoring tonight versus in Game 3 where she was 0 for 4?
One of the things she said was, I can't shoot air. It's not like I got that many looks. Carson flips it in with the left hand. And you can see Essence Carson has come off the bench aggressive.
Both ends of the floor.
Gray and Agumake get ready to check in for LA. Moore backdoor. Montgomery the scoop. Defender. Can't connect. LA 1 of 13 from 3. Fouls on the delivery from Montgomery. Places it home. The lead has swelled to 19. Another deflection from Minnesota. Parker trying to force the action. Sims will take and tip.
LA desperately needed that score, but they still cannot get much going towards the basket line.
Augustus trying to get something going towards the basket and draws the whistle.
When a team is playing aggressively on the defensive end, you try to use that against them. That's exactly what Minnesota did. Little elbow entry to Maya Moore, and you back cut. Overplayed, you back cut. Executed perfectly a couple possessions ago.
Simone Augustus told us she didn't feel Minnesota executed the game plan in any of the first 3 games, including their Game 2 win, but it looks like they are tonight. Hey, shop WNBAstore.com now for the best selection of Lynx and Sparks gear. Choose from jerseys, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. WNBAstore.com, one store, every team. You know, one thing to remember, if you're looking at this scoreboard and you're saying, wow, this is in the bag, Minnesota 17-point lead, as Augustus misses the free throw. Both of these teams have had big leads in every game, and the other team has closed or taken the lead themselves. As Sims misses, long rebound back to Sims. So there is plenty of time for LA to get back in this contest. And a foul underneath against Howard. 4th team foul against Minnesota, side out of bounds. First in the last 2 minutes.
Offense in Game 3 seemed to come so easy for Los Angeles. And defense and offense was a struggle for Minnesota because of LA's defense. Well, offense has been a struggle for LA in this game because of Minnesota's defense.
Nothing easy. Parker gives it up. Brunson denied Parker's cut and then fouls on Agumike altogether. And that's out of bounds off of LA. Another splendid defensive effort from the Minnesota Lynx.
Really active hands from the help side defenders, making that so difficult.
Candace Parker doesn't have a field goal attempt in this 3rd quarter. She has often looked like the best player on the floor in this series. And without a shot this frame, as Agumike picks up her 4th personal.
We've talked a lot about how well Rebecca Brunson is playing on the offensive end. Well, Candace Parker is the player that Brunson is guarding, and she is really having an impact on that end of the floor as well.
Candace Parker was hard on herself after Game 2, and the lack of offensive production she had in the first half of that game, no points, no rebounds, talk about it being unacceptable. She has not been aggressive here in this 3rd. Has fouls, couldn't finish. A second try, no. Fouls may have gotten hit, and she is bent over in pain as it's a 5-on-4 the other way. Sims the kick, Gray, can't hit. Agumike the rebound, still 5-on-4. Nneka can't finish, and Brunson the rebound, out of bounds off of her, and it will be LA basketball. Sylvia Fowles is still shaken up.
She got hit by her teammate, by Rebecca Brunson, when both of them were going for the rebound. They've been so active on the glass here. This time, both Brunson and, oh, maybe it was Agumike who got her in the eye. I thought live it was Brunson who got her.
I think it was Agumike. Fowles and Brunson, with 21 rebounds between them, have the same amount of rebounds as LA has as a team in their entirety. As you see the complete line from Fowles. Now, they were trying to get the officials to take a look at that play.
For a hostile act. I'm glad they didn't. It's just basketball. There's no hostile act here. There's incidental contact. Minnesota wants them to go and take a look because she got hit in the eye. But that's incidental contact. That's the game of basketball right there.
And they did not look. Parker denied by Brunson. Finally slipped inside of her for her first shot attempt and bucket of the quarter.
Nothing was easy for her on that possession. It was great defense, but just better offense.
Moore sneaking around, found space and scoops it in. 2-for-1 opportunity for LA if they get it up in a hurry. Parker will put it up and off. Moore the rebound, and just a slight differential between the game and shot clock. 17-point Lynx edge. Montgomery needs help. Bounced it weakly. Brunson collects. 2 to shoot. Perkins will. Doesn't get the roll, and that'll do it for the third quarter. The Minnesota Lynx 1 quarter away from forcing a winner-take-all Game 5. Sylvia Fowles with 8 for the game. Brunson with 16 and 8 for the contest. We go to the fourth. Start of the fourth quarter of Game 4, and moments ago, Holly Rowe caught up with LA head coach Brian Ackley.
Coach, how do you describe the shot selection by your team in this game?
Wasn't very good in the first half. It was better in the second half. We're trying hard. I think we're just forcing things right now.
Candace Parker, just 2 shot attempts in that third quarter. How can she overcome the defense that's being played on her right now?
They're doing a good job with her, but she's going to have to help herself, and our ball has to move a little bit more.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, LA's offense held to 16, 15, and then 13 points in the first, second, and third quarters, respectively. As Sims starts the fourth with a much-needed 3. LA has been 2 of 16 from deep. Sims has hit all 3 of LA's long balls. Here's Fowles, already her 4th straight double-double of these finals. Ready hit the deck. Perkins takes advantage, can't finish, rebound Gray. Up ahead to Sims. Sims bodied into Montgomery in an offensive foul. And Montgomery, once again, jumped the route knowing Sims wanted to get to her left hand.
She parked on Sims' left shoulder. I mean, that's knowing the scouting report. Odyssey Sims is left-handed. She likes to go that way. Renee keeps her position. Odyssey Sims pushes off a bit with the right arm. That was the right call.
Now in Game 4 last year, when Minnesota avoided elimination, forced to Game 5, they were a plus 16 on the glass. They were a plus 16 on the glass so far tonight. As Moore draws the whistle, Beard and Agumake were there.
That was great hesitation by Maya Moore. She got by Elena Beard, knew Beard would be pursuing from the backside. So watch this, watch this. Hesitate, slow down, wait for Beard to run into you. Such a smart offensive play.
Beck, I want to ask you about that matchup between Beard and Moore, because it was something that received a lot of attention, especially in the Minneapolis papers leading into this series. Beard, one of the all-time great defenders in this league, Defensive Player of the Year this season. Moore, one of the all-time great scorers. Now, Maya has 10 points. She had just 6 field goal attempts today. How much of that has to do with Beard's work before the ball gets to Moore?
I think most of it. I mean, we were surprised looking at the stats, seeing that Elena Beard, who led the league in steals per game this year, only had 1 steal in the series coming into this game. But she's been so effective before Maya Moore catches the ball, keeping it out of her hands, being a focusing on that on the defensive end. She has been very effective.
Moore still with 12 points now, but Brunson and Fowles have scored more, and Sims dropped that one in the bucket. 13 for Odyssey. Sims trying to get her group going. LA down 14. Sims pressuring Montgomery, and then just shoulder to the ground, and she can complain, but that was an obvious foul.
Right now, Odyssey Sims has been able to provide a lot of offense for LA. Again, screen comes. Which way is she going? She's going left. Everybody in the league knows she's going left. And most of the time, they still can't stop it.
Terrific athlete with plenty of speed. That time played good deep for most of the shot clock against Montgomery and then just gave her a little shoulder, which did not escape the eyes of the officials. So 11 to operate now for the Lynx. 5 to shoot. Whalen finds Brunson with one, and a shot clock violation against Minnesota. And Candace Parker, you could see mouthing over the back first, wanted foul number 4 against Sylvia Fowles.
There was an overback, but it was after the shot clock went off. I think Sylvia Fowles is lucky that there was that violation.
And Candace was having a discussion with Kurt Walker the entire way down the floor. Alexis Jones into the game for Minnesota. Their rookie who has already hit 1 3 tonight. Beard trying to back her into the post and just went savvy on the rookie. And Magic Johnson approved.
Kid tested, Magic approved.
That's kicks, right?
Yeah, I think so.
With the berries. Very good. Brunson, a 3. No. Rebound to Beard. Opportunity for LA. Gray motoring with space around the Parker screen. Needing help now. Sims will take. And tap. Timeout, Minnesota.
This copyrighted telecast of WNBA Enterprises may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise used in any form without the express written consent of WNBA Enterprises.
Well, Odyssey Sims has helped inject life into her LA Sparks teammates. A few big threes and a lot of emotion. And it certainly has spread to her teammates on the bench, as the Sparks have shaved a 19-point deficit down to 9, thanks in large part to 11 second-half points from Odyssey Sims, who just gathered her veteran teammates and said, hey, let's go. We can win this game. We have control. Get a stop.
The one person on the floor right now who did not play in these finals a year ago.
Backdoor denial from Parker. And we check in with Holly.
Well, Odyssey Sims was the subject of that last timeout for Minnesota. Cheryl Reed told her team, look, we have to get to Sims every possession. She's trying to take over right now. We can't let her. And then she said, it's time. I believe she meant it's Sylvia Fowles' time. You saw them try to establish her on that last possession.
Moore will take. Short. Brunson the rebound. Stripped by Parker. Here comes Sims. Darting forward. Looking behind. Finding Beard. Plenty of time to operate for LA. Gray to Parker. Sims a 3. Not that time. And the rebound secured by Minnesota as this crowd anxiously stood up, waiting for that to drop home from Sims. LA trying to repeat as champions with a win tonight. Minnesota wants a winner-take-all game. 5 wins there. Brunson, another offensive rebound. Then lost the handle. LA ball. Parker running the break. 4-on-2 and great hands by Moore from behind. And now it's a 5-on-2 the other way. Fowles takes advantage. And what a swing there after Moore with the great defensive play in transition. That was nearly a backcourt violation with Sims and Agumake.
Don't mind me, I'm just catching my breath.
Agumake can't hit the 3. And my guess is that's probably not the shot Brian Agler wanted. The feed, Brunson denied, and a foul comes in against Brunson will shoot 2.
And this is why you never give up on a play. Turnover one end, and Maya Moore just able to get Candace Parker from the back. Turns to offense in the other direction. And Candace Parker, because no teammates were trailing her, none could talk to her and let her know that Maya Moore was there.
Hey, after our game, wrap up your weekend with SportsCenter at Night, hosted by John Anderson and Kenny Mayne. They'll have the day's best from our game, the NFL, MLB playoffs, and the President's Cup. SportsCenter at Night next on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app. So after LA cut it to 9, had the ball, and an open look from Sims from 3, Minnesota has scored 4 straight, and their lead is back to 13. Gray trying to force the action, does, and the whistle.
LA's offense, when they are in attack mode, we've talked about it so much throughout the course of the series, but Chelsea Gray in attack mode here, and Rebecca Brunson, defensively, when your arm comes down, sometimes even when you don't make contact, the officials see your arm come down and they call the foul.
Gray completes the 3-point play. 8 points, 8 assists for Chelsea Gray, who started these finals with a game winner and 27 points in game 1. Sims aggressive, pokes it away from Whalen. 4:54 to go. In the 4th quarter of game 4. LA a 2-1 series edge in these best-of-5 finals. Augustus got inside and floats it in.
As Sims switched on to Simone Augustus on that possession, and Augustus, the veteran, made her pay for her overzealous D.
10 points for Augustus as Moore jumps the root for the steal. Gets it ahead to Brunson. And now Whalen. To the corner for Moore. 10 to shoot. Clock is the friend of Minnesota as Augustus lost it. Fortuitous hop to Fowles, who can't cash in. Rebound Moore, and Minnesota can run more clock.
They've done a great job of taking advantage of the clock the last couple possessions.
5 to shoot. 3 to shoot. Whalen, no. Rebound Beer. And it's go time if you're LA. Down 12 under 4 minutes remaining. Bumake spinning, finishing through contact from foul. And the possession works out after Brian Agler had wanted a timeout on that trip down the floor.
But even Minnesota slowly taking the ball out of bounds while the clock ticks down. Veteran, smart.
Augustus, another floater. That one missed. Parker with numbers. 3 on 2. Sims to Gray. Her jumper is off.
Tired jumper, 2 tired teams.
And Cheryl Reeve trying to calm her group down and let them catch their breath as she calls a play.
Winded. Both of these teams are winded right now.
And that indeed looked like a tired transition opportunity.
Second game in 3 days.
With a lot of veteran players. Fouls left to grab it and finishes it. 20 points. 13 rebounds for Sylvia Fowles. And Brian Agler will spend a timeout. 12-point Lynx Cushing. The points from its bench again. That's a problem. They need more from their starters. They've gotten it tonight.
And that's what happens in the playoffs. Your rotation tightens. You need your stars to play like stars. It's what Cheryl Reeve said after game 3. That's been the case here.
Does LA have a rally left in them? Down 12. Parker is fouled. The whistle came late, and Candace looked back as if to say, where was it? Well, it did come. And Candace Parker will shoot a pair.
Got to be an attack mentality. The best thing for LA is to score with the clock stopped, give you a chance if you want to extend your pressure D.
Parker hits the free throw. The WNBA Finals 2017 presented by Verizon continue Wednesday night If Minnesota holds on, there will be a Game 5, winner take all, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. For more on this game, go to WNBA.com or access the WNBA app.
On the graphic, it said if Ness. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be if Ness.
10-point game, 2:40 to go. Candace Parker with just 4 points in this second half. A little full-court pressure applied by LA. Fouls to Brunson. Too strong. Parker the rebound. Chance for LA to cut it to single digits. Gray from 14. Too strong. Kept it alive. Sims wiggles free. Ogumake finishes and the foul.
This time it was LA active on the offensive glass. Coming down, Chelsea Gray with the shot. Just got to keep it alive. Keep it alive for your team. Great pass, and Augustus got her with the lower body. You couldn't necessarily see it on that replay, but live, she got her down below.
And Ogumake misses the free throw. Every point huge right now for LA. Nneka has 16 points, 8 rebounds. She's also playing with 5 fouls. Under 2 minutes to go. 8-point game. Brunson over to Whalen. Her 3. Too strong. Another offensive rebound from Brunson. And Moore cleans it up. Puts the foul.
Rebecca Brunson. That play was about the energy of Rebecca Brunson. We saw it on the other end. You just got to keep the ball alive for your team. She goes after it into the hands of Maya Moore, finishing the foul. But that play was about Rebecca Brunson.
More elated. Minnesota with a huge bucket there as LA was trying to build a little momentum in a comeback effort. 3 big points from Moore in Minnesota, and the lead is back to 11. And Rebecca Brunson now with 12 rebounds to go with her 18 points. And now a knockaway. Whalen seeking a dagger. With just 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining. And Sims, aggressive, knocked it off of Whalen's foot out of bounds. LA ball. Timeout, Sparks. Down 11, 1:18 to go. And Minnesota has gotten a very diverse effort from their starters. Augustus, Fouls, Brunson, and Moore all involved, and Maya Moore certainly has been in the fourth quarter.
Maya Moore was the reason that Minnesota won Game 4 a season ago with her 31 points. Well, how about this? I'm going to get it started on the defensive end of the floor. Another steal coming across the lane. Then we know what she can do on the offensive end. And here, attacking the basket, finished with the foul. Maya doesn't usually show a lot of emotion, but she understands the importance of that bucket.
Minnesota has played like a desperate team this entire game, knowing their season was on the brink. And nothing has embodied that more than the effort. You see the numbers from Moore, but the effort of Rebecca Brunson tonight, who kept that play alive for Moore on that last bucket. Brunson has played more finals minutes than any player in this league's history, and she's trying to become the first player ever to win 5 titles.
Minnesota plus 17 in the rebound category tonight. So much of that's effort.
And Ogumake forces the whistle on fouls. It'll be Sylvia's 4th. 2 free throws coming for Nneka. Chance to score with the clock stopped.
Score with the clock stopped. Set up your pressure. Try to get a steal in the backcourt.
Neither team with any fouls to give. LA with 2 timeouts remaining. Minnesota with a full complement, that being 3. As Ogumake misses another free throw. You know, one of the things that we heard so many different members of the Lynx say to us before the start of these finals was they want to win this series for Rebecca Brunson. They want her to be the only player to have 5 titles in tow. And when she's playing with energy and activity like she has tonight, makes it a lot easier for them to accomplish that for her. As LA looks to generate a turnover here, Whalen able to find fouls. Who does cough it up? 60 seconds remaining. Sims will take the 2 and hit. 8-point game, timeout Minnesota. Not done yet, still a lot of work for the Sparks to accomplish.
Cheryl Reeves taking that timeout can advance the basketball. That way they won't turn it over in their backcourt, leading to an easy bucket for LA.
Now LA generated more turnovers, scored more points off of turnovers than any team in the WNBA this season. So Brian Agler's squad quite capable of creating chaos.
Hey, you gotta get up here fresh. You're on the ball. All right, you're on the ball. You're gonna get the ball in bounds. We're gonna send Elena's gonna go. You're gonna go to the ball. You're gonna look to double the ball right away. That's okay, because we're gonna be losing everybody. Okay? Everybody understand? Yep, on the catch.
He wants the Defensive Player of the Year with her 6'4" wingspan to go and double the ball. And her question was, I'm leaving Maya.
On the first catch.
He doesn't care. Somebody else will have to help on Maya Moore if she's left open.
No, that's fine right here.
Lindsay Whalen just walking over, saying to Cheryl Reeve, do we have timeouts? Do we have time?
And they have 2. LA has 2. Neither team with a foul to get 8-point Minnesota advantage. Augustus, here comes Beard on the double, and a foul from Sims, who did not want to foul. And it'll put Simone Augustus at the line.
Well, here the tough thing was Maya Moore was under the basket, so it took a while for Elena Beard to get in there.
Well, I don't see a foul from Sims. I see a foul from Augustus, if anything.
Yeah. Sometimes you wonder if officials anticipate thinking a team normally would. Big miss by Augustus, though.
Brian Agler still with 2 timeouts. His team down 8. And Augustus misses both, but of course, another offensive rebound for Minnesota as Fouls puts in what is the likely dagger here in Game 4. Beard in the corner. Brunson the rebound. And a foul in the backcourt from LA as Minnesota is 39.4 seconds away from ensuring we have basketball Wednesday night at the Barn.
Any surprise that one of the biggest plays of the game is an offensive rebound by the Minnesota Lynx? That's been the story for them in this game.
Minnesota with 15 offensive rebounds. How about the rebounding totals for Brunson and Fouls? 27 rebounds between them. You see, they have nearly out-rebounded LA just on their own. But Minnesota has won the battle of the glass in a wallop. And no surprise that this team of champions, playing in their 6th finals in the last 7 years, has come out on the road and delivered this kind of effort. Cheryl Reeve takes a timeout with 33.1 to go.
I'm not surprised she took the timeout there. It looked like LA was going to let the clock run down.
Maybe she's going to make some substitutions with the game in hand. Well, we are set up for another Game 5 between these two teams who put on a classic championship bout in their Game 5 last year, with Minnesota leading by 1. And time winding down, it was Nneka Agumake's putback with 3.1 to go that won it for the Sparks and gave them their 3rd title, their first since 2002. Minnesota once again in a road Game 4, about to force a Game 5 at home.
This is a veteran team that's won 3 championships together. This group, the core 4 in particular, which is the 4 stars minus Sylvia Fowles, they've been in this position. They know what it takes. Cheryl Reeve was so calm and confident when we talked to her an hour before this game. You could tell she really had a finger on the pulse of her team and felt good about the way they were going to perform.
Second year that these two teams were even capable of meeting each other in the finals after the change to the WNBA playoff format, where conference no longer applied, and it has paid off big time, as we will get another Game 5 between the clear-cut 2 best teams in the league. As Pearson, who's set to retire at the end of these finals, hits the 3. LA will not have a chance to clinch on their home floor. It's all cosmetic at this point. Williams puts it in. 80-69. And Minnesota will dribble this one out. Buckle up. There's going to be a winner-take-all Game 5 Wednesday night in Minneapolis. Our final score, the Lynx 80 and the Sparks 69. Join us Wednesday for the final and deciding Game 5 at 8 Eastern on ESPN. For our producer, Rodney Vaughn, directly presented by Verizon in Hollywood. They are hoping to crown a champion, the LA Sparks, with a 2-1 series edge on the Minnesota Lynx as we get ready for Game 4 of this best-of-5 2017 WNBA Finals. Ryan Rucco and the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo welcoming you back inside Staples Center. We know what's at stake tonight for the LA Sparks, trying to clinch the title. For the Minnesota Lynx, if they're going to make sure that doesn't happen and force a Game 5, what's something that's key for them or encouraging as they go into this contest?
Well, it was interesting talking to Simone Augustus earlier this morning, and she said, in none of the 3 games played thus far have we executed our game plan. I think they feel like if they play at the top of their game, offensive end, defensive end of the floor, that they can get a victory. And they've gotten one, and they played the games close without playing their best basketball.
Now they could use a little more production from Rebecca Brunson and Lindsay Whalen, who had an interesting conversation we caught wired moments ago.
What you want from me besides that drag? Anything else?
Hey, deflections. And
Okay.
keep talking to me.
Yeah.
Deflections on Parker.
Yep.
And keep talking to me on the weak side. If you ever see me stand on the weak side, tell me to keep active.
Yeah,
Because
me
that'll
too.
Just remind me.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
we both. Okay.
We saw sometimes when
Hey.
we was there, we wasn't quite there. We
Yeah.
there a little bit more aggressive. We in good shape.
You know what
That's
we need
from the start.
You know what we need the most of?
So,
Fun.
absolutely.
We just have fun, man.
Stay connected.
Well, Lindsay Whalen, Rebecca Brunson will look to have fun in the Minnesota Lynx starting lineup. Whalen and Augustus both held scoreless in Game 3. That's the starting backcourt. Joining Brunson in the front court, it's Maya Moore and Sylvia Fowles, all led by head coach Cheryl Reeve. For Brian Agler's Sparks, he's got big-time production out of his backcourt. Chelsea Gray and Odyssey Sims. Elena Beard, the Defensive Player of the Year. Neku Gumake, last year's MVP. And Candace Parker, last season's Finals MVP. The Lynx 1-2 in potential road elimination games. The Sparks 3-3 all-time in finals closeout games. And Game 4 is underway.
Minnesota starting out in their man-to-man defense. They're going to be looking to set a tone defensively.
Agumake gets the roll, and just like Game 3, she starts with a bucket outside the paint. Just her second of the entire series.
You see Odyssey Sims picking up Lindsay Whalen hard, extending her defense. She was effective taking Whalen out of her rhythm, doing that in Game 3.
Augustus trying to get a roll herself, cannot. Fouls on the glass. Brunson helped, and Fowles can't put it back as Parker secures for LA. Parker weaving, kicking. Gray on the move to the rim for 2.
That is when LA Sparks are at their best. Candace Parker getting the defensive board, leading the break, and then making the right decision.
Here's Fowles out of the double, finds Brunson on the cut, who is hit by Sims. And Rebecca Brunson will shoot 2 as we take a look back at what we were talking about in regard to Parker.
Candace Parker, one of the best facilitating forwards in the league. 6'4", than Chelsea Gray. Attacking the closeout to get the easy 2 in the paint. Gray, a very capable three-point shooter, but not settling for the outside shot early.
Brunson, a more aggressive attack on this end in the first couple of possessions for Minnesota.
Not only the attack, but as soon as she saw Sylvia Fowles get doubled, she went into the lane instead of waiting and floating on the perimeter. That's important when the double team comes to the post.
Minnesota has been seeking more production out of Brunson and Whalen. They got it from Augustus in games 1 and 2, but not in game 3. Here is Beard. And Elena Beard stepped out of bounds as LA turns it over.
Maya Moore playing exaggerated help side defense when Elena Beard does not have the basketball. So she's going to have to look to be offensive-minded, Beard.
Fouls, 8 to shoot, gets hugged by Parker, and that is going to be a jump ball. Great double team from Agrumake and Candace Parker.
But I like what Minnesota is doing early in this game. They are not settling. They are really looking to run their stuff through fouls. She wasn't ready for that.
No, she was not, and Parker tipped it easily to Sims, who was whacked by Whalen. And now Lindsay Whalen has some words afterwards, and she's being calmed down a bit by her teammates as Sims is down on the floor in pain.
Let's say this. Lindsay Whalen intended to foul. I don't think she intended harm. She wanted to wrap Sims up so that she wouldn't get an easy 2.
Now they will take a look at this and see whether or not it should be upgraded to a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2. A flagrant 1 is contact that is deemed unnecessary. A flagrant 2 is unnecessary and excessive, and here's another look for you.
Odyssey Sims obviously went down and hit hard, and again, Ryan, I think clearly clearly Lindsay Whalen was looking to foul so that Odyssey Sims could not finish. Still, I don't think she meant harm.
Is there anything unnecessary about that?
I do think it's a flagrant. Because it doesn't matter what your intentions are. I do think that's a flagrant.
Now, Odyssey avoids her head hitting directly on the hardwood, but took it hard on her left shoulder, it looked like, and maybe the back
and
as
the
well.
tailbone area.
Yeah. Whalen was fired up afterwards. Looked like she was exchanging words with Chelsea Gray. A flagrant 1, as we talked about, if contact committed against the player with or without the ball is interpreted to be unnecessary. A flagrant 2, if contact committed against the player with or without the ball is interpreted to be unnecessary and excessive.
I don't think this constitutes a flagrant 2. I do think it constitutes a flagrant 1.
Our officials, Mai Forsberg, Billy Smith, and Kurt Walker. Tiffany Bird, our alternate. We will take one more look as they communicate to the table, and it will be a flagrant 1. A flagrant 1 is the call, so Rebecca, you are right. 1 for 1 in this game.
I just hope that Odyssey Sims can recover. She is so important to, and she's staying on the floor, so that's a great sign. But not only, you know, offensively, she's so good at pushing the pace, but she was so disruptive in game 3 because of her defensive pressure on Lindsay Whalen. She is really important and vital to what LA does on both ends of the floor.
So in addition to seeing whether or not she stays in this game, it's also about, is her motor slowed at all?
Well, you know what? She has to stay in to take this free throw, because if she doesn't, she wouldn't be allowed to re-enter the game. That's the difference between a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2. The flagrant 1 is called, you have to take the free throw if you want to continue to play in the game.
Sims has been absolutely exquisite from the line over the last couple of months, and she hits both. Had a string of 37 straight made free throws snapped in game 3. And so Whalen Right back on Sims. LA with the early 6-2 lead.
And often a foul like that will really light the fire of the team that got fouled.
Whalen trying to save as her and Gray came together. It's out of bounds off Minnesota. Still plenty of time to operate for Los Angeles.
Was that the pitcher throwing the brush back? That or the Gray with a little body on Lindsay Whalen?
It might have been the equivalent of that. Here's Parker. A big game 3 on both ends of the floor as Sims can't connect. Long board to Moore, and here comes Minnesota. Augustus getting more touches early in this game and cashing in with a jumper after not scoring in game 3, the first time in her career that it happened in the postseason.
Both teams play such good defense. They're going to have to make plays and score and make tough shots, and that was one of them.
Great look from Parker. Gray can't hit. Whalen the rebound. And here comes Moore. Hastily up the floor. Fouls, a deep touch. Out of the double finds Brunson, who is smushed and fouled. And Rebecca Brunson, for the second time already this game, cut hard immediately and is rewarded with free throws.
That's what you do. As soon as your defender turns her head to go double team, especially if you're coming from the free throw line area, you cut to the lane. Brunson knows that. Sylvia Fowles knows that. That's kind of her first read as the quarterback when she gets double teamed.
Elena Beard called for that foul, her first. Brunson misses the first day. The WNBA Finals 2017, presented by Verizon, continues Wednesday night. If Minnesota wins tonight, we will head back to Minneapolis for the final deciding game. That's game 5 Wednesday night, 8 Eastern on ESPN if necessary. And for more on these games, go to WNBA.com or access the WNBA app.
Take that slate out of the ice water because it keeps shrinking, Ryan.
Sylvia Fowles is whistled for the loose ball foul, as Rebecca makes Seinfeld fans proud everywhere. Sims trying to find some room. Kicks to Beard. She connects. A long 2 for Elena Beard. As Fowles and Parker got tangled on the deck.
Odyssey Sims distorting the defense with her drive. She drew 3 defenders.
Good cut from Moore. Fading away. Banks it in.
It is important for Maya Moore to see the basketball go through the hoop early. She did not get that opportunity in game 3.
Great movement here. Parker. No. And Augustus the rebound.
I like when you turn no into a 3-syllable word.
I'm glad you've been counting my syllables after all these years. As Fowles lays it in on a nice delivery from Moore, and there's just a palpable energy and activity to the start of this game.
We have a close first quarter. This is the first time this series we've had a close first quarter midway through.
LA in game 2, and it was LA's defense that swallowed up the Lynx in game 3 as Sims is too strong on the floater. And here comes Augustus with LA back. Augustus trying to work Gray. Whalen will lob. Fowles. Turns. Denied by Parker. 3 on 2. Gray, the no look. Sims back to her. A 3. It's way off the mark. And now Maya Moore is trapped and has it stolen. Up ahead to Agumike, who lays it in.
Right now, these teams are a little bit winded, a little bit tired. As soon as Maya Moore had the ball stolen, she didn't even run back, Ryan.
And you can see Cheryl Reeve telling her team, calm it down, slow things down a bit. Moore on the cut. The jumper is off.
And when you're tired, you have to be a little bit more deliberate to get better shots.
Meanwhile, Parker nearly threw it away. Sims back to her. Parker a 3. Rattles out. LA has missed its first 4 from downtown, and all of them good looks. Minnesota trying to force a winner-take-all game 5 Wednesday night. LA looking to finish off this series at home. Brunson. No. And Agumake the rebound. Beard is down in the backcourt. Foul slow to get to the front court herself. That's knocked out of bounds, and everybody might be happy about that because it will bring us to a full timeout. Good action early and a tight game. Nneka Agumake out and running. Brian Agler always says we're at our best when our bigs are on the move. Agumake is, and LA leads by 2.
The WNBA Finals 2017 is presented by Verizon, the best network and the best unlimited, and Taco Bell and the $5 steak quesarito box.
They are so clearly led by Candace Parker. And what a turnaround when you consider where she was before the finals victory last season, Holly Rowe.
Well, last year might have been one of the most difficult years personally in Candace's life. She lost her beloved coach, Pat Summitt, who died during the course of the season. She was going through a divorce. She was not chosen for the U.S. Olympic team. A lot was going wrong in her life. And she said, I got to that game 4, and for the first time, I felt cloudy about what her job was to close out that title. But this year, she is unfazed. She is unburdened. And a beautiful piece written by Ramona Shelburne is worth checking out on ESPNW. But she is in a much better place this season, Ryan.
And the results have shown. I don't know that I've ever seen her as comfortable in her own skin as she has seemed throughout this entire year, Rebecca.
And she's been a great leader all season for this LA team.
Brunson is stripped by Parker. It goes back to Brunson, who puts it in on the foul.
Rebecca Brunson has had great off-the-ball activity so far in this first half. And here's another example of it. This time, it's not the ball going into the post, but she gets to the middle of the floor, finishes, even though LA continuing to have active hands. We saw it. Rebecca Brunson did not play particularly well in games 1 or 3, but she came out balling in game 2, and she's done it again here today.
4 points for Brunson, who missed her last 2 free throws, but hits that. So 5 for Brunson, who in game 3 really struggled. Scored just 6 total points in that game and had just 2 rebounds, which is highly irregular. She has more rebounds than any player in WNBA Finals history.
When Gia Perkins comes in the game, you see her with the steal there. She tries to be disruptive defensively.
Fouls, will kick it out, and Gray got a hand up.
But Chelsea Gray has the size on Gia Perkins. In that last possession, while LA turned it over, they were trying to get Gray the ball. They feel like that's an advantage on that end of the floor.
Minnesota with its first lead. Remarkably, even though the first 3 games, you see Lavender and Sims check out, were played so tightly, there were only 2 ties and 6 lead changes throughout the entire first 3 games. Teams trying to dig out of holes in those contests. Perkins can't hit. Fouls on the offensive glass. Got fouled. And I believe that's going to be on Chelsea Gray, who is trying to fight off the size. And it is. And that'll be the 4th team foul on LA with 3:12 to go in this quarter.
This is what happens when you're a smaller guard. The bottom right of your screen, trying to box out Sylvia Fowles. You cannot take away someone's feet in their space going up for the board.
So side out of bounds as it's Augustus fouls. Renee Montgomery played a big role in game 3. Rebecca Brunson and Gia Perkins, the 5 for Minnesota. Parker, Beard, Agumake, Carson, and Gray, the 5 for Los Angeles.
Montgomery is the more offensive-minded point guard than Lindsey Ware.
Augustus connects on a 3 and is fired up afterwards. Minnesota in front by 4. Parker trying to force it. Brunson would have none of it. Augustus leading the break. And Beard saw it the whole way. Got her hands in there. Parker with Minnesota back. Has it taken away from her. And now Montgomery blasting forward. 2-on-1. Fouls. Finishes. It's an 8-0 Minnesota run. And LA will take a timeout. The Minnesota Lynx bringing the energy and activity as they face elimination. A 6-point first quarter lead. run in this first quarter. These finals have unfolded very similarly to the way last year's did. A win on the road for LA, Minnesota then evening things up, then LA winning at home in game 3. But even though the contests have been tight through the first 3 games, there have not been nearly as many ties and lead changes as we experienced the first 3 games of 2016. So far tonight, 2 ties and 1 lead change.
One thing there hasn't been nearly as many of in this first quarter is fouls. This is the first quarter we've had where a player doesn't have 2 fouls, a player not in foul trouble.
Agumake heaved up a 3 early in the shot clock and couldn't hit.
I don't think that's exactly the shot she wants. She's been effective in the paint in this series, but not been effective from outside, especially deep.
LA comes over the steal, 4 turnovers apiece in this first as Beard can't hit.
Again, that's too early in the shot clock. That's not Elena Beard's game.
And you can see Brian Agler looking at his team like, what are we doing? Montgomery splashes in a tray, and it's a 9-point Minnesota edge.
And the difference there is that Minnesota is the team that has the momentum right now, and that is part of Renee Montgomery's game. Early threes.
11-0 Minnesota run. Carson. Now it settles with Sims, just 6 to shoot. Parker, great look, and Agumake is stopped.
Renee Montgomery from the bench assesses what her team needs from her, and she told us, if I think we need some offense, I'm going to look for my own. And here, she just has a...
Is also available on ESPN2 in Spanish.
We didn't get any chance to watch football today. We're going to have a chance to watch football tomorrow night.
That's right. And if Minnesota wins this game, a game 5 Wednesday night on ESPN. Here's Brunson. He's had an effective first quarter. Fouls will take. And 10. And a much more fluid rhythm offensively in this game 4 from Minnesota.
And all Candace Parker could do is smile and go the other way, because that's the shot that she wants Sylvia Fowles to take.
Minnesota 8 for their first 15, shooting it at 53%. They were held to single-digit scoring in the first quarter of game 3 as Agumake finds Parker for 2.
And offensively, we keep hearing Brian Agler say, move the ball, because that's when LA is so good offensively. They have great spacing, good cutting, but in order to make it all work, they need to move the ball.
First field goal for Parker. 30 seconds left in the quarter. Moore. Over to Fowles, guarded by Parker. 4 to shoot. Parker's active hands. Snatched it away. Shot clock turned off so LA can hold for 1. Gray doesn't look like she wants to, and Agumake traveled, and LA was just rushed in their set there. I understand transition, but with 13 seconds and no obvious lane to the rim, you probably got to pull that back.
Yes, rushed, but the right idea for Agumake in terms of she didn't just look to settle for the shot. Her mindset has to be to attack the basket. But yes, it was early in the clock.
The shot clock was turned off, and LA seemed like they wanted to take advantage of that sort of second wave transition opportunity. 5 turnovers apiece between Minnesota and LA in this first. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Montgomery lost it. It's in her legs. And a jump ball as Nneka Agumake is saying, hey, what is that? It should be a kick.
I don't know if that's in the rule book, because you're not allowed to, stand up with the basketball, but are you allowed to cradle it in between your legs? I mean, here, great job. Active hands again. Sims and Agumake, and then Renee Montgomery just grabs it between her knees and rolls back, trying to keep possession.
Now, Sims and Montgomery are going to jump. Sims is 5'8". Montgomery is 5'7". And that is into the arms of Gray. Gorgeous down-court feed. Beard lays it in. They will review whether or not that was off in time from Elena Beard. But you could not have executed that better than Chelsea Gray did.
Beard took off right away, assuming they were going to win the tip, and she did. She got it off. That's 2 for LA.
She clearly got it off in time. Score the bucket for LA. They're down 5 after 1 here at Staples. Months ago, Holly Rowe caught up with Lynx head coach Cheryl Reed.
Well, Coach, Reed, you said that in Game 3, that loss, you didn't take advantage of some of the things LA gave you. What have you taken advantage of better today?
What have we taken better? A little more aggressive, taking care. I mean, they're still getting a ton of deflections. We got to do better in that area. That's the single biggest thing we have to get done today.
Sylvia Fowles has told me when she gets that wrinkle above her eyebrow, that's not a good sign. You just had a little conversation with her. What were you trying to calm down with her?
Don't wrinkle her eyebrow.
I like this version of Cheryl Reed. The one who has a little sense of humor during the interview.
A little more loquacious.
A little bit.
Foul on Gray to start the quarter as Howard flipped it up wildly. Brunson back to it, and Rebecca Brunson is making her presence felt.
In a smaller post lineup. This is not their small lineup, but with Sylvia Fowles out of the game, Brunson and Howard in there together. Two quick athletic post players.
And a foul against one of them, Howard, who picks up fouls at a remarkable rate.
Rebecca Brunson and her activity offensively. I mean, this is a player coming in to this game in the finals, averaging under 3 rebounds a game. She's been much more active in that part of the game today.
Sims, the kick. 7 to shoot. Back into the arms of Sims. Brian Egley, you can hear say, keep it moving, as the Gumake tried to put it home and could not. He was very disappointed with the way the ball settled on the left side of the floor. Whalen behind the back. Brunson into the jumper. No. Rebound loose on the floor, and Howard fights for it.
All season long, the first post player off the bench for the Minnesota Lynx was Plannette Pearson, but Howard is good in this matchup because of her quickness.
Now, Odyssey Sims, you could see once again, this time obviously not as far out, but harassing Lindsay Whalen. And one of the things Cheryl Reeve talked to us about was, hey, you have to take advantage of that aggression. If Odyssey Sims is going to go after you, then you need to try and go by her.
Exactly. You take advantage of it by trying to get by her. Attacking the closeout was another thing that she talked about.
Shot clock at 4. Moore floats it home. Second field goal for Maya Moore. Her Lynx have their largest lead. It's 9. Parker will get ready to check back in for LA. Lavender. It's good.
Post player rolling to the basket, getting paint points, has been very good to LA at times in this series, particularly in Game 3.
Lavender 8 points off the bench in Game 3. As Whalen looked like she got away with a travel. That's out of bounds off of LA, and it will stay with Minnesota.
By the way, with the travel, it looked like when those cartoon characters go off the cliff and their feet just keep going one over the other.
Her Instagram alter ego, Gentry, might have taken over for a moment.
If you don't follow Lindsay Whalen on Instagram, you need to.
Candace Parker back into the game for LA. Whalen will give it up. 8 to shoot. Back into the arms of Moore. Trying to get around a Gumake. Moore can't hit. Parker fighting another offensive rebound for Minnesota, and a foul. And the Lynx have been dominating the offensive glass in this second quarter thus far.
As active as LA was in Game 2, Game 3, Minnesota is that active here in Game 4, particularly on the offensive glass.
And that was a significant foul because that is number 3 on Chelsea Gray. Now, when you look at the role play, not role play, but the key starters, in addition to Moore